The 2025 season for the PGA Tour has ended. The Ryder Cup is right around the corner. So why don't we just take a little bit of time, review the season, and take a peek forward to the Ryder Cup. Welcome back, everybody. As always, make sure you guys like and subscribe the video. Check out inbetweenmedia.com for all of the written content that we have coming towards you in 2025. And as always, shout out to 101.5 FM Talking West Tennessee. I'm Jake. As you guys may or may not know, I am taking over the 19th hole from Bo and Connor for the foreseeable future. And so I will be hosting this week and again in the foreseeable future. Joining me this week is our friend, longtime friend of the program, Keith Flemming. You can find him on Twitter/X at Keith Flemming. Keith, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing good. Glad to be talking some golf because with the NFL season starting, I shift a lot of the stuff that I do in terms of content to football, but those that know me know I love golf, so I always enjoy talking it, and especially this kind of format where we're not going to be talking data or trying to get the best plays or values for the week, but actually just talking about the season in general. Like I love this kind of discussion.
Yeah, when I found out that you were going to be joining me for my inaugural full episode, I was like, oh, let's just we're talking the season. We're talking the season. Ryder Cup kind of plays right off the season, so it's a perfect time to get all of this out here. But we do have some other news that we do need to talk about. So let's get on ready for the news Niblick. So, Keith, this may or may not bode well for the U.S. Ryder Cup team, but the U.S. Walker Cup team secured their fifth straight win this year. It was a 17-9 victory, which was their largest margin of victory since their win that kickstarted the streak in 2017. 19-7 was the winning number that year. The future of golf is really strong, and the future of USA golf seems to be even stronger.
It's outrageous. If you think about like what happened on the PGA Tour with the live defectors, which however you feel about that, a lot of really talented golfers left, and you would think that there would be this huge vacuum, and it feels like the PGA Tour has already reloaded and has all these stars. And then I would argue actually this next group that's coming up may be even better because all these kids are so freaking talented. And they were getting their brains beat in day one, which is what's wild about this. And then they just like absolutely opened a can on the Europeans. And I just, happy for this group of guys. It's crazy to see a 35-year-old out there with them, quote unquote day trader. It's like, man, it must be nice to have money. Just get to play in, amateur events while you technically have a job. But really impressive performance. And like there's 4 or 5 guys on this team that I can't wait to see at the next level.
Yeah, I agree entirely with what you said there. It is always funny seeing Stu Hagestad's name in there. This is fifth consecutive Walker Cup. Perks of, I guess, maintaining amateur status, like you said. But just some really big names coming up through the pipeline there. 2 specifically that really stand out to me. Mason Howell and Jackson Koivin. Koivin, for those who don't know, playing in the Pro Tour right now, off to a really hot start over there in that event. I believe he finished 7 or 6 under on the day. So really great start out of him as an amateur playing in a PGA Tour event. But yeah, like you said, it was not looking good to start 3-1 after the end of the morning foursomes on Saturday. We did reclaim a little bit of a lead, a 1-point lead in the afternoon singles, but even going through the Sunday morning foursomes, only a 1-point lead, and then the U.S. rattled off an 8-1-1 showing in their Sunday singles, which was the best showing the USA has ever had in that format since it expanded in 2009 to include all 10 players. So
how'd you like to be the one guy that took an L? Like, that you got some ribbing, because it's obviously a great situation. You won, but to be the one person that did not at least get half a point, I'm sure some people had some fun on that team.
Oh, I'm sure that was that honor goes to Michael Lasasso playing,
One
and I
of the
believe
other
his
young
first.
studs coming up, hits it 5,000 yards.
Yeah. Dude, like you said, there's just so much talent throughout both of the teams too. Like we harped on the USA team here. Obviously, we both live in the US, so that's gonna stick out in our mind a little bit. But when you have guys like Connor Graham, an 18-year-old playing in his second Walker Cup, Luke Poulter, son of PGA Tour legend Ian Poulter, out there,
He'll be a thorn on our side in Ryder Cups in no time. I can just feel it.
Yeah, he's already beating his dad in, like, I think it was the Open qualifiers that they were playing for the Open. He performed better than his dad did. So there's so much talent coming through. Professional golf is in a really, really good spot. Speaking of professional golf being in a really good spot, specifically in a great spot for Rory McIlroy, Rory secured his second Irish Open win, his national home open. He gets to reclaim the hometown hero status, and we're going to talk about Rory some more later. But man, honestly, it's hard to say it's a life-changing year for Rory, but it is in a lot of ways. Like, gets the monkey off of his back by being able to secure the career Grand Slam, basically ends 2025 by winning his national open, and then gets to go and be arguably the best player on one of the probably going to be most closely contested Ryder Cups in recent history.
We hope so, because probably if it's going to be a blowout one for the other, it's not going our way.
Yep.
Definitely career defining for Rory,
Yep.
right? Because, the career Grand Slam. I'll get into why I'm a little disappointed with a big portion of this season for Rory in just a little bit, but I'm very happy for him. Like, one thing I say about Rory over and over again, I've never been the biggest fan of Rory the golfer, but I'm a big fan of the human being he is. Like, he just seems like a genuine person. And I feel like he got a really raw deal with the PGA Live split, and just, being asked to be the face of that. He did everything the PGA Tour wanted, and it was no surprise. He was livid when it leaked that, his driver failed, when anybody who is like in the game of golf knows that happens all the time with these guys. And it felt personal. Like, it felt like it was purposeful that news broke. And if not for people like Scotty Scheffler just openly admitting, yeah, my driver failed too, at the beginning of the week, I think that would have been a much bigger story. So, I mean, what a way to begin and end, quote unquote, your season. And I'm sure he would say that even as big as the Masters win is, I believe he cares more about the Ryder Cup than anything else. So it's actually a win in a couple of weeks. It is the most important thing to him probably this year.
Yeah, 100%. And so, keeping in the tune with the rest of our episode, just kind of doing a little recap on what this win kind of was for Rory. It was his fifth professional win in the last calendar year. Not many guys in professional golf history can say that they've been able to win 5 times in a calendar year. This also marked his 20th career win on the DP World Tour. For those who aren't familiar with that naming convention, used to be the Euro Tour, the European Tour. They all go by so many different names. Second career Irish Open, like I mentioned, and just the way he managed to pull this one off. Makes an eagle on 18 to force a playoff, and then makes 3 straight birdies to win the playoff. Like, I get Rory used to have a little bit of that choker, that choker resume hanging off of him, especially in the Masters and some of his performances in some majors. But I mean, the guy is nails more often than he isn't, and this just proved it.
Yeah, I think it's more about expectation. I've never considered Rory a choker. I just think he puts too much pressure on himself.
Yep.
And, it was just like with Augusta. Like, I think he wanted it so bad that it just got to a point where it got in his head, and he's done everything he can. And again, we'll talk about this a little later. Fate kind of, I think, had a big part in him winning in Augusta this year. So, but if anybody deserves it, it's him. Scheffler probably will complete a career Grand Slam. After that, good luck finding the next guy that's going to do it. Because, sixth in the history of the game, and then, it's the first in 20 years, and there's not anybody that's, not Jordan Spieth, who good luck on him winning another major, or Phil Mickelson, good luck on him winning another major, that is just one away outside of Scheffler. Well, obviously, like I said, I'd be shocked if he doesn't, but it's hard to think of another guy being able to accomplish this. And we said the same thing about Rory just, 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, and not even to mention, just like we talked about with the Walker Cup, just the amount of talent that's coming into the professional scene. It's going to get even harder. And sure, you've got guys like Brooks who have shown their ability to win at certain majors, guys like Bryson who have, can put it all together. We know he's got the game to win all 4 majors. It just goes to show how hard winning all of those majors can be. Absolutely. Speaking of a guy who won a major, Adam Scott, going away from the broomstick putter that he arguably made famous. He won the Masters in 2013 as the first player in major history to win using a broomstick style putter. Been using it for over a decade. As of the PGA BMW Championship on the DP World Tour going on currently, is using a short putter, is going away from Lab's center shafted offerings to their first heel shafted putter ever, making a lot of changes really quickly for a guy who's had plenty of success with the broomstick. It feels a little interesting to me.
I mean, this reminds me of like Darth Vader in, Return of the Jedi, where he had, been with the dark side for so long, and then he turns back to the Force. And I think that's what Adam Scott's doing. I think he also just, in all seriousness, realizes the clock's ticking for him, right? Like, he's getting to an age. I know players are able to compete much longer and longer. Phil Mickelson just, broke the major record for the oldest major, but Scott's getting up there in age, and he's got to get it done now. And I'm going to tell you, I've had a couple of different lab putters. Those things are incredible. And it doesn't surprise me that he's giving, a normal putter a chance, because those things are cheat sticks, man. You don't have to actually anchor it to really consistently make a very straight and true stroke. So I think it's, there's more feel involved when you're not using a broom. And he was a good putter early in his career, and then just kind of got lost. So I'm thinking maybe thinks he can catch the fountain of youth, and, why not try new things, right? In golf, like, if you're not evolving as a golfer, you're usually not getting any better.
Yeah. And I mean, if anybody's going to stay relevant later into their, professional career as they get, higher up there in age, a guy like Adam Scott, who always keeps himself in phenomenal condition, physically, he's still got the game. And I think you're right. I think it's probably part of it. Like, he's looking for some of that feel to come back into his game. Like, one of the prettiest, most robotic golf swings of all time. Just, with the broomstick putter, like you said, I've tried it out. I've tried the lab putters, the center shafted thing. It doesn't work for me. I think as a golfer, I'm very much a feel player. I do everything against the book in a lot of ways, because I know that feel works for me. And I think we may be seeing some of the same with Scott. So that's a really good call out. All right. Now that we've talked a little bit of the news, let's head on over to talk about the 2025 season. It was a great season for me as a DFS player, as a gambler. I'm sure you had a pretty solid year all the way around as well. But man, were there sure some surprises this year. Who would you say were some of your biggest surprises from the 2025 season?
I mean, first and foremost, Brian Campbell won 2 events this year, which is nuts. And as somebody who has always been a good golfer, but never been somebody who hits it a really long way, especially off the tee, seeing him beat Pogacar head-to-head in the final round of the Mexico Open, even into a playoff, where he was consistently giving up legit 60 to 100 yards off the tee, just like, it almost gave me chills, like, because I mean, that is just incredible. Like, go out there and play any of your buddies, doesn't matter the handicap, and give them a 60 to 100-yard head start and see how well you do on approaches. So just incredible. And then again, for him to follow it up and win again, I couldn't believe it. I mean, we all could have been millionaires with the odds that he had in those two events if we'd have just bet him to win on both of them and not even had to put that much money on it. Good to see the harken back, because one thing that has stunk in the last few years is you don't get those crazy odds that you used to get in
Right.
golf on bets to win. And Campbell, I think it was like 450 to 1 for the first one
Yep.
and 250 for the second. Like, I can't remember the last like 150 to 1 winner before him, and he did it twice. So definitely Brian Campbell's at the top of my list.
Yeah, even more so, getting both of those wins in playoffs. One at a course very near and dear to my heart with TPC Deer Run. My family's from right around that area. Grew up playing that course. As my grandpa worked there on the groundskeeping team after he retired from John Deere. Funny enough, so
that?
lot of history with that course. Campbell, also University of Illinois guy. So again, that's a little bit farther for me. Going down to Champagne's like 6 hours, but still, just great to see him win. For me, I have another guy who I don't think anybody expected to have the year that they did. We have to talk about Ben Griffin. I mean, 4 years ago, the guy was doing mortgages. It's still on his LinkedIn that he was a mortgage underwriter. And then the dude comes out and just has an incredible season, picks up his first 2 professional wins on the PGA Tour. One of them, it was a team event, but still, we count it. And then to go from being out of golf 4 years to basically having one of, if not the best seasons, and being a near auto qualifier for a Ryder Cup team, when entering the season, you were barely top 100 in the world, and you finished the year at 15th in the world.
I mean, he should be an advertisement for LASIK for sure. Like, it is insane to see the way his season and career took off after getting his eyes done. I mean, like, really, I'm shocked that we haven't seen some kind of commercial deal on that. He should be making some money off of the fact that. And then the sunglasses is also a thing like I love about Ben Griffin. I understand it was from the procedure and stuff, and then he just got comfortable wearing them. But it's a look, and in golf, it's hard to kind of stand out. And to me, it makes him stand out because no matter what, the conditions where he's out there in those kind of gold tinted shades. But just an incredible game. And he's somebody I'm very excited to see, like what he does moving forward, because I don't think this was a fluke. I don't think he's like on some hot streak. If you look at a lot of the metrics, he's always been that guy. He just really couldn't put together consistency. And this year he found that, where he was much more consistent week to week. And like the sky's the limit, I think, from here for Ben Griffin.
Agreed. Yeah. When you look back at like the previous stats that he had, kind of always hovered around, 35th to 45th in total strokes gained. And then seeing him put it all together this year, really, I think the big key for him was figuring out off the tee. He's a guy who swings with a lot of passion. He's really trying, we all heard him overdose on creatine. The man knows what he's doing to get those gains.
Forgot about that.
And he's trying to get him off the tee, but he was a lot more accurate off the tee. Just had a really strong all around year. So just a really good story. Another really great story that we got this year, JJ Spaun winning the US Open. I think we can't talk about surprises without talking about kind of what JJ Spaun has gone through in his career. And then to not only win on the PGA Tour, but get your first major after being a guy who was making like $1,000 on the Canadian Tour 6 years ago.
That was one of the more memorable final rounds in a long time. Like, you want to talk about being a mutter, because it was like the minute it started raining and the conditions got difficult, he went into gear. And I also just admire so much the way he got off to such a slow start on Sunday. And you thought, like, right off the bat, okay, he lost maybe his only chance to win a major, because if you look at Spawn's results for his career in majors, I don't think he ever had like a top 40 finish. And then all of a sudden, it's just like win. Very happy for him. And it just, again, in a year that Scheffler won 2 and Rory won 1, Spawn still did like maybe the most remarkable thing I can think of, which is had a memorable major victory, like where
Yep.
I will remember this along with Rory at Augusta, like this entire season where you kind of let it off that way. One of the better ones I can remember for the PGA Tour, where it seemed like every week it was a good event. And I love it when you get these guys that come out of nowhere to win majors.
Yep.
Like, yes, I want to see the Schefflers and the Rorys and the dominant guys win, but it's also nice to remember that that's what makes golf great is there's nobody playing defense. Nobody's going to stop you
Yep.
but yourself. And occasionally, a guy like JJ Spawn goes out and beat the best guys in the world and picks up a major win.
Yeah. I mean, that putt is going to be in commercials, montages for decades to come. That putt, just to make that putt and basically know you just won the US Open, pouring rain, a triple breaker, essentially downhill at Oakmont of all places. It just truly a really special victory.
100%.
Any other guys that you have as big surprises?
I mean, a little bit again. I think it's fair to include Rory here for Augusta, because it had got to the point where it was like the Roadrunner, and the Coyote, where it seemed like every time you would think that Rory would come into Augusta playing well, or he'd be in contention, say on Sunday, and he'd just kind of falter. And I kind of gave up on it because how with golf being such a mental sport.
Yep.
The longer it goes, the more it's in your head, the more you're thinking about it, and then just the harder it is to play good golf because this is the hardest game in the world anyway. And then when you're, again, putting these heavy expectations on yourself, which I think that's what Rory was. He wanted to win so bad for, to be just the next guy. Again, that's an immortal list of guys that have won all 4 majors. And then also just the way he kept coming back, like it was the roller coaster of all roller coasters. There
Yep.
was at least 3 times I thought he had won the tournament and then lost the tournament. It just, I can't ever remember that kind of back nine ever.
Yeah. And just to know, like, even how the event started for him, like he was even par after round 1, shoots 6 under day 2, comes out, shoots another 6 under on Saturday. And like you said, there were so many times where I was like, oh, he's done. Like it's over. This is the Rory blow up we've all been waiting for. But then he would just hit shots that it's like, yep, there's Rory again.
Yep.
He's sticking it to 3 feet, hooking 7 irons around trees, like just doing absolutely insane things. And then be able to even have all of the pressure of a playoff on your shoulders and being able to win in a playoff against Justin Rose, who's one of his best friends off the course outside of golf. They are very good friends. They were Rosie was super happy that if anybody beat him, he was happy that it was Rory. So agreed to. I mean, he'd been chasing the win at Augusta forever. He's needed this to complete the career Grand Slam since 2015 was his first opportunity to play there to complete it. And it evaded him forever. And then to get that win, certainly qualifies. I have just a couple other guys that had some, surprising seasons for me. Don't need to go too in depth with them. Sepp Straka able to pull off 2 wins. I always kind of refuse to admit that Sepp Straka is a real person. Whenever I look, I feel like he's either at the top of the leaderboard or at the bottom. But he put together a really solid season. His first wins since 2023. So shout out to Sepp Straka as well. And then one of my personal favorites, you want to talk about a guy who puts his passion into his golf swing, Ryan Fox from New Zealand, able to come out and get 2 PGA Tour wins, his first 2 wins as well in his career. You can't, nobody can say they expected Ryan Fox to win twice this year. No. Besides, I don't even think Foxy would tell you that he thought he was going to win twice on tour.
His wife wouldn't even tell you that she thought he was going to win twice this year.
Yeah. So just a couple other guys that I wanted to shout out, but now we have to talk about some of the disappointments that happened this year. There were a few guys that came to mind for me immediately, but I want to hear what you have.
So this is going to probably make some people upset and they won't understand it, but let me try to explain it. I think Rory belongs on this list because he won 3 times. He completed the career Grand Slam. And then he just kind of went away. And Scheffler had this incredible, right, like season. And I feel like that Rory cost golf fans maybe the rivalry of our lifetime, where if he could have just played the way he did the first few months, the rest of the season, and Scheffler was playing the way he played, kind of from that point on, I just can't imagine how many Sundays we would have got with these two guys mixing it up. And look, I get it. Rory has made a ton of money. Obviously, he's won all four majors. Like, what else is there left to prove? But for me, what is left to prove for Rory, especially if he wants to be considered one of the greatest players of all time, is just he can't relax or like take his foot off the gas every time he does something great. And that's kind of what it feels like. He won those four majors in bunches. And then I remember, what was it, like 2 years later? He got injured kicking soccer ball like right before the Open Championship. I'm thinking, you're Rory McIlroy. What are you doing? Like, where is the killer instinct? Like, why are you risking something like this? And I feel like he kind of packed his tent in because the rest of the season didn't really mean that much to him. He just won the event probably that, would say means the most other than the Masters and individual. And then obviously, like what we said, the Ryder Cup's coming up. So it's almost like now he's gearing his game for that second season. But I hate that we missed the chance of the Rory McIlroy that we saw the first 4 months of the golf season and the Scotty Scheffler we basically saw all year, once he got healthy, like going head to head.
Yeah, I agree. It was always interesting to me, like, looking at scoreboards throughout the year, it never seemed like Scotty and Rory were on at the same time. Like they were like perfect ebbs and flows of each other. Whereas like when Scotty was struggling, Rory was having arguably one of the best stretches of his career. When Rory started to go through some struggles, I think those really started, kind of at the PGA, misses the cut in his next start at the RBC. And then it took him a while to kind of find his iron swing again, started to come back for him, obviously, still had some good finishes. But like you said, like, just kind of that killer that we saw on Sunday at Augusta didn't have the same look in his eyes.
Yep.
So I get where you're coming from. Like, obviously, like I mentioned, 5 professional wins this calendar year, obviously, winning the Masters, top 7 at the Open, top 20 at the US Open, like still had a really solid season all the way around, but I can totally understand where he comes to mind. One guy for me that I have two guys who kind of stuck out as major disappointments for me. One was less surprising, that being Max Homa. We saw him struggling towards the end of 2024 as he was going through some swing changes, caddy change, just everything was changing. I don't want to blame it on this, but ever since his child was born, his game has not been the same. And whether that has something to do with it. But I mean, if you look, there's a very distinct point, even in 2024, after the PGA Championship, where the dude he would miss parts of his game. Parts of his game would be there. He'd have good weeks, great weeks with the irons, great weeks with the putter, fine weeks off the tee and around the green, but just like couldn't put it together. And I was really hopeful, going through, an equipment change, coaching changes, that we'd see some of the old Max Homa. I do think, he's trending in the right direction, but I mean, the dude had just 2 finishes inside the top 12 all year. He had 8 missed cuts, career high, it feels like, over the last 5 years at least. 9 finishes outside the top 30. And like, even when he was playing well, like at the John Deere, at the Masters, his 2 best tournaments of the year, it's not like he was really in contention for either of those. Whereas like, if we're talking about Max Homa, what was that, 2023? He's a top 10 golfer in the world in the official world golf rankings. And like, you legitimately thought there was a stretch there where Max Homa can win any event that he enters. He's got the game to do it. And we just saw that kind of completely disappear. And like I said, his swing's starting to look better. He's looking a lot less stuck. The irons are starting to come around. The driver's coming around. So hopefully he can, trend back towards being Max Homa in 2026. But man, was he disappointing this year.
Most likable guy on tour too, which that's what stinks. Like, he's just awesome. Like, everything about Max Homa that I've learned and that he's shown us in public, like, he's just an easy guy to root for. So I'm with you. For me, like, everybody on the Live Tour except for Bryson and majors. I am going to take a victory lap on one of the reasons I did. I kind of wondered if the live guys were making the right decision was you just can't tell me reps don't matter. We've seen this week one in the NFL, like where it seemed like the teams that did not play in the preseason looked the sloppiest. And when you go from playing 4-round events against really deep fields to 3-round events where you're basically doing a shotgun, and it's weaker fields. Like I know it's a lot of good players in it, but overall it's a weaker field.
Yep.
There's like probably 20 guys every week that really have a chance to win. I think it just does you a disservice, when you play in these majors. And again, Bryson deserves a ton of kudos because he has figured out how to go to like another level from going to the Live Tour, which I would love a study on that. I don't understand how he is literally the only outlier. And there's so many good golfers. You look at guys like John Rahm, Cam Smith had just won a major. Like both of them had just won majors, went to the Live Tour, and they have not fared well in the majors since. Like, and even the guys that have a really good track record. Again, Koepka's another one that he, barely missed winning the Masters, came right back, won the PGA Championship. Then since then, he's done nothing. So, like those guys on the Live Tour, for sure. John Rahm also gets a special double mention because he was right there and he blew it. Like, I'm not saying he could have won the PGA because Scheffler was so good, but he had a chance to post a score and to really put pressure on him. And maybe this just says more about Scheffler's game because Rahm was, almost like a sports car or something. He was redlining, that entire front side and just going bananas. But then what happens? Like he started leaking oil all over the back nine, and next thing you know, it was over. So I want more from him. And it's, again, why I'm disappointed he left. I'm disappointed in a lot of those guys. And it's made me like Bryson even more because for whatever reason, he's figured out that equation. Everybody else hasn't.
Yeah. And I will say, like, Rahm's comparatively is still performing solid in the majors. But like you said, like, there's just not, it's like I was talking about with, I already forgot who, but like when they're in contention, they're not really in contention. They're just there putting up scores. And it's like, oh, their name's near the top, but
Bryson at the Open, right? Where like incredible performance after that first round, but he never had a chance to win that event.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Knowing, like, watching him go out and start with the 78 and then go 65, 68, 64, like obviously figured it, like got everything back in line after being that out of whack, which with that golf swing feels like it can, and once it happens, it either doesn't take a lot or takes a lot. But yeah, I fully agree with you there. Another likable guy who had a pretty disappointing season, Tony Finau. Again, a guy who I felt like contended week after week, was always a chance to win. And then 4 top 15s, 5 missed cuts, 10 finishes outside of the top 30. Just all around unfortunate season for him. If he can ever figure the putter out and just get out of his own head with it, he'll have a chance. But I think also with all the off the course stuff that's going on regarding, the lawsuit that he's dealing with currently and just everything associated with that, like it's hard to see Finau get back to Finau right now.
Well, you said that, having a child, had kind of a direct correlation with Max Homa. Freaking Finau brought 7 kids on tour with him. So you can only imagine just week to week. Like I know, and I'm very happy for him. Like he talks about on Full Swing, it's what he wants. And that's great. But his golf game is suffering. How would it not? Like you're going from not having to be responsible for 7 kids, day in and day out while you're trying to win tournaments to where you are. So I think Ravioli deserves a special mention on this list because if not for Ravioli, Scotty Scheffler, I think, would have won the Masters as well, and Rory wouldn't have completed his career Grand Slam. And again, this is no disrespect to Rory, but if he would have played the way he did on the back nine, and we know Scotty Scheffler would have been in contention because he was just in such bad form going into Augusta, and yet somehow he still, managed to basically finish top 5 because that's what he does. I just don't believe Scheffler would have allowed Rory to have the mistakes he did and then come back from him. Like he would have closed that door almost immediately. So how dare you, Ravioli? And then Jordan Spieth, man. I don't understand. I can't ever remember a golfer reaching the heights that he did and then just falling off the face of the planet. Like, he's just broken. And if you watch him play golf and listen to him play golf, you can see it. Like, this
Yep.
dude is broken inside and he doubts himself, and I don't mean this in like a bad way. I'm saying he's broken inside, that he's constantly over analyzing,
Yep.
overthinking, worrying about too much stuff. And I knew that he would have a hard time racking up majors because he was relying so much on the putter. And I mean, let's be honest, like, nobody makes putts for forever. That's just
Yep.
golf. But I never thought he would like just become such a mess tee to green. And what's crazy now is those metrics are actually better than ever. And yet he still can't put together
Yep.
a good year. So, like, I don't know where he goes from here, but he is lost.
I almost feel like he's a guy who has to kind of take that Wyndham Clark approach. And, I've spoke ill will on Wyndham Clark's golf game more times than I can count. But I mean, it seemed like when he started working with the sports psychologist, like, it really did help him figure a lot of things out. It really feels like Spieth needs that. Like, ever since he it's been well documented at this point that, like, his game really started to go downhill when he really started to chase distance, really, was trying to be one of the longer guys for a guy that's his size. He didn't go the Bryson route of doing it by, drinking protein shakes every second of the day, working out 12 hours a day, and, putting on 60
overdosing on
pounds.
creatine.
Yeah. He didn't do it with that route. He tried to do it through swing changes. And even like watching him swing a golf club used to look so effortless. And now it's like, he gets to the top and then there's the pause and, the wrist flex. And it looks so uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I like you said, like, it's so mental. Like, you can tell he's prepared to hit a bad shot. But every caddy that you talk to, when they talk about how to talk about to a player on tour, it's, you tell them what to do, not what not to do. And then you hear Rory over the ball. He's like, well, I don't want to go short. I don't want to go right. I can't really go long left. So short left is where I want to be. But to do that, I got to start the fade over there. Really fade. It's like, dude, you are preparing to hit the bad shot.
Yep.
You're not. And he's never, like, what Scotty does so well. Scotty hits a bad shot out of his head. He just gets to the ball and prepares for the next shot. It's like Spieth is ruminating on the bad shot for 10 minutes after he hits it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he wouldn't have won the 18 Open, or 17, excuse me, I would say that, he's never recovered from 12 at Augusta, when he definitely should have won back-to-back Masters. But he did win that Open in 17, so I can't say that. But the Open is returning, to Roy Burkdale next year, so maybe it'll, get some good feelings going. I mean, even at Augusta, though, to your point, like a place that he owned, even his results there in the last couple of years have really fallen off. Where, like, I think for the first, like, 6, 7 Masters appearances, his average finish was like 6. It was insane.
Yeah, he debuted at the Masters in 2014, tied for second, won in 15, tied second in 16, tied 11th in 17, third in 18. Like, the dude owned it forever. And, like, he's had some good finishes over the last 5 years. He's got a tied for third and a tied for fourth, but he's also got 2 missed cuts in there, which, like, just wasn't happening to early career Spieth. So another guy who's just really fun to watch. So I hope he does kind of bounce back, but much like Tony Finau right now, I really don't see the path to it if things continue the way they are. All righty here. So to get back to, we're doing the, what do they call it? The feedback sandwich. We started with something good. We talked about a little bad. Let's talk about a little good here. Who are a couple guys, don't have to go too in depth on them, just who are a couple guys that you're really looking forward to seeing what they do in 2026?
I mean, you said it, Jackson Coigwin. Like, I watched him when he was 14 playing an event, an AJGA event with one of my best friend's sons who was 16 at the time. I had no idea who he was. He shot a bogey-free 67, and it looked like it was nothing. And I've never seen somebody just dominate a golf course the way he did. I even asked his dad, I said, has he played this course before? No, he didn't get time to play a practice round. So first round on the course, bogey-free 67, and it should have been like a 64. He's just, like, I think he has the best chance to be like the next, I don't want to say Scheffler because that's too good at this point now, but like the next Spieth or, guy that just comes on immediately
Yep.
and wins, and it wouldn't surprise me if he wins a major in the first year or two he's on tour. I can't wait to see, what he's got coming in the future. And then Ludwig Oberg is the other guy that I'm going to give him a mulligan for the injury.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely played a factor. And I'm excited to see if he can get back to the guy we saw 2 years ago. Because if he can, with how young he is and just his talent and his swing and everything, don't be surprised if he kind of, wiggles his way into the conversation of, who's the best golfer on the planet right now.
Yeah, 100%. He's one of the few golfers that I truly do feel needs to just slow down a little bit. I appreciate the speed of his game, but it feels like it backfires on him more frequently than it helps him. But yeah, both of those names are definitely guys to watch. I have a few here. Luke Clanton, one of the best college golfers probably of all time, had a really great resume playing on tour as an amateur, turns pro, definitely disappointed a little bit. Think he needs to stop the Navy SEAL workouts at 4 a.m. that he's been doing. But you want to talk about a guy with like a crazy good story. Like, parents are blue collar workers. His sister went to a different college where she was getting better scholarships so that her family could have more money to put towards his career as a golfer, because she knew, everybody in his family knew how talented he is. Just one of my favorite personalities on tour as well, being able to see him, through all the YouTube golf and stuff that he plays. Just a really, really good story. A guy I really want to see take off. I want to see Akshay Bhatia take the next step.
Yes.
I think he's also a guy, dude, turned pro at 16 or what? Like,
he's so young still.
Yeah. It feels like he's been around forever, and he's like 24, 23. Great lefty swing, figured out the putter a lot, switching to the broomstick this year, like has the game to be a week-to-week presence on tour. He started to show it this year. I want to see him, continue to show that moving forward. And then last up, Bud Cauley. Yes. Probably a random call out for a lot of people, but
no,
dude started the year outside the top 320 in the official World Golf Rankings, ends the season 55th in the OWGR as he continues to work his way back from injury. He's just proof that like hard work and talent like will start to pay off for a lot of people, even with the adversity and everything that he went through after that car accident and the injuries that have, limited his performance as a player. Just a lot of promise in his game. Would love to see him just come out, and I'm not expecting him to dominate 2026 by any means, but a win, couple runner-up finishes. I'd have so much fun watching that and betting on it, honestly.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite stories this year that I forget to mention when you talk about biggest surprises. It was shocking to see him come back and just pick up like he left off, like no time had passed, when in reality it had been like 4.5 years. So
yeah, just a crazy fun player to root for. But it's that time where we get to talk about what we alluded to at the very, very beginning. We get to head on over and talk about the Ryder Cup. I shouldn't say everybody's, golf nerds' favorite event when we get the chance to watch it, specifically from the United States and Europe. Sorry, other parts of the world. You guys can have the Olympics. This one's our thing.
That's right.
But we have the Ryder Cup. The odds are officially out. Currently, the United States is the favorite, currently coming off the board at minus 145 to win. Europe to win at plus 150 and plus 1,100 to a tie if you're feeling spicy. But we got to talk about these rosters, because I think the rosters, that's what everybody talks about for a good chunk of the season. This player's so close to getting an auto qualifying status. Who isn't? Who's in? Who's out? So let's start off by talking about the U.S. auto qualifiers. We have Scotty Scheffler, J.J. Spawn, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, Harris English, and Bryson DeChambeau. I think we both know the elephant in the room of this roster. Who had Harris English as an auto qualifier on their bingo card?
Definitely not me, and I'm a huge UGA fan, as you could see. Yeah. So.
Harris English, much like we talked about with Foxy, probably not expecting to win twice. I doubt Harris English thought he was going to be an auto qual for this Ryder Cup team. in my mind, probably he's the weak spot on the roster. He's the, especially when you consider the format of the Ryder Cup, being that there is match play, you do need so much of that high scoring potential. English to me has always felt like, a consistent, he's kind of a boring golfer. Like,
I think he'll be good for foursomes, though. I really do. Like, I think he's got the game to potentially be a strong foursome player, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the most he plays 3 times, the 2 foursomes matches in the singles.
Yeah. Another probably surprising name for a lot of people, as we alluded to earlier, JJ Spawn. I doubt anybody thought he was going to be an auto qualifier, but I mean, we can knock these guys all that we want to and say, like, we didn't expect them to be auto qualifiers. Like, they auto qualified for a reason. Their 2025 performance not only had the highs, it had the consistency. That's where you get this auto qualifying status. Like, it's not a surprise to anybody, I think, to see Scotty there, see Xander there, Henley maybe, but we all know Russell Henley's game. Again,
he had a great year though too. I think it was like 11 top 10s or something ridiculous.
Yeah, just again the epitome of consistency. What Russell Henley was this year. Had a couple blow up events, but he's like Scotty Scheffler if he didn't have the high end upside of Scotty Scheffler.
Yep.
Like, just consistently there. Mm-hmm. I think Bryson maybe surprises people just because, there's so few opportunities for the live players to earn points to auto qualify. So for him to be able to auto qualify, and, I think it's huge for the team.
Huge.
You want to talk about a guy who can fire up the entire squad off a single swing, even. Like, we've seen the juice this guy can bring, like when he, driving over the water, putting it pin high on a par 4 that's a 3-shot hole for any other player in the world.
Could you imagine that crowd? I mean, with the Bryson, say, Rory singles match or Bryson Rahm, like, dude, he's the guy I'd be sending out first on Sunday singles. Really, I don't think it matters what the situation is. Like, that place is going to lose their mind. It's going to be a great atmosphere anyway, but, like, what a face turn Bryson's made in the last few years with golf fans, and they're going to be going nuts for him. I have no doubt about that. The New York guys.
Yeah, just an absolute tone setter. Heading on over to the European auto qualifier side, we have Rory McIlroy, Robert McIntyre, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, Rasmus Højgaard, and Tyrrell Hatton. Obviously, we expected Rory to be here. Most of us probably expected Fleetwood to be here. I don't think anybody else would have predicted the other 4 guys to be here. Not to say that they're bad golfers. McIntyre, when he's on, one of the best putters in the world. Get that man on a link style course and watch some magic happen. Rosie's Rosie. He's having a career bounce back. Like a lot of, you want to talk about a guy who can stay relevant late in their 40s, approaching 50. Højgaard, the first ever twin to play in a Masters after his brother in a Ryder Cup after his brother was on the last iteration of the team. And then Hatton, also a live player who was able to auto qualify. If we're just talking the auto qualifiers, I do think the United States has the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not a little bit intimidated by some of the names there, because when it comes to the European team, like, the US team feels like a bunch of very consistent golfers who can put up very consistent performances. The European team has that in Fleetwood. They have that in Rose, but the other guys, Rory, McIntyre, Højgaard, Hatton, those feel like guys where if they can get hot, they're going to get on a roll and they could be scary.
The experience too. Like, the Europeans have so much experience. Like, they have their new generation of Poulters and, Montgomerys and Faldos. Like, they've been doing this now for 3 decades, to where Rory's been on the team for forever. Hatton's now been on 3 or 4. Lowry, same deal. Hovland, I think, has been on the last 2. Fitzpatrick's been on the last couple. Rahm's been on them for the last 5 or 6. Like, I do think the experience matters. But at the end of the day, I think Keegan sacrificing himself gives the Americans a chance, when I think otherwise I don't think I would have thought that had a chance if Keegan would have picked himself. I think by him making the ultimate sacrifice, all those other guys that were captain's picks are going to be ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
And it's like the ultimate sacrifice, right? Like, you know how much it means to him because we all watched his disappointment,
Yep.
on full swing when he didn't get picked for the last one. And he kind of got screwed
Yep.
by be giving the captain because he ended up playing well enough to absolutely either,
Yeah.
just miss a top six, or he would have definitely been a captain's pick. And I thought he was going to pick himself, but after hearing what he said and just like hearing the calls to like Sam Burns and stuff, I think he gave the United States the best chance to win.
I agree. Yeah. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you about the captain's picks. So the United States team captain picks, I'll run through them quickly here. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cam Young, Sam Burns, and Patrick Cantlay. I think Keegan should have picked him. I would have totally understood if he did pick himself, is what I should say,
Yeah.
because he absolutely deserves to be on this team. I can't think of a guy that I want to be captain more than Keegan Bradley, though. Like, I would run through a brick wall for that guy after seeing him on full swing. So I fully appreciate his sacrifice. On the captain's pick side of things too, you already named a couple of them, but on the European side, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, Ludwig Aubert, Victor Hovland, Matt Fitzpatrick, John Rahm. I was going to ask you if you think anybody was snubbed from the European side.
I mean, Harry Hall definitely deserved to, I think, make the team. And he was probably the hottest guy, outside of maybe Rory and a few others. But it's hard to argue with the six guys that you just read off. Like, that is a really strong captain pick, like six pack. Like, I like the guys on the Americans chose, but I mean, you could argue the six captain plays for Europe are stronger than the six automatic qualifiers.
I agree. All right, we are approaching the end of the show here. So I'm going to run through a couple of the top bets that are out right now. All of these odds are available on DraftKings. I'm just going to kind of rapid fire, throw you on the hot seat. Top European team scorer. Who do you think?
Give me Hatton plus 800. He usually plays well in these things, and you said he gets really hot.
Awesome. Great pick. He is also my favorite of the not John Rahm, Rory McIlroy tier. Heading on to the U.S. side, are we going away from the chalk of Scotty here, or are we just riding Scotty at plus 200?
It's hard to not pick Scotty at plus 200, but I do really like Cam Young at plus 1,600. Like, I think Cam is got the talent to be one of the best players in the world, and he seems to kind of have figured out his game. I'm excited to see him mix it up. He's a real competitive dude, has a great history in match play for like the WGC. I think that's a good value too. But anytime you get plus odds on Scotty, it seems like lately, just take them.
I agree. All right, day one winner. Are we going USA, Europe, tie?
I'd probably go tie. The foursome winner is my favorite play for day one. The Europeans just always dominate. You're getting plus 160 odds. Like that looks really appealing to me.
I agree. I think I also wouldn't be surprised to see a tie after day one. My favorite of the actual, the remaining plays here, honestly, I think it's USA day two winner at plus 110. I would pick day three singles winner as the USA, but that's minus money. Let's have a little fun while we're at it. I'll take the day one winner as the USA at plus 110. And then who do you think takes it all? Team Europe, USA.
What did Ben Crenshaw say? I got a good feeling about this, and I have a good feeling about it for the U.S., but I'm not betting that. If I was betting on a winner for this event, I would bet on the Europeans, but I don't want to do that because I want to be able to root for the U.S. wholeheartedly when it comes to the entire event. Well, I bet the Europeans or U.S. maybe for the day or whatever. Do props? Absolutely, but I'm not going to bet against America to win the whole thing.
You love to see it. Guys, that has been another week of the 19th hole. Keith, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was a pleasure getting to recap the season. Look forward to the Ryder Cup with you. Look forward to having you on the show again. But this has been the 19th hole. Make sure you guys like the video. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go check out Keith's work. Again, you can find him on Twitter/X at Keith Flemming with 2 M's. And we will see you all when we see you next.